Welcome to The Decision from Nashville EO, where you will hear the rest of the story after tough decisions were made by entrepreneurs who faced adversity and lived to tell about it.
Welcome to The Decision, the podcast by EO Nashville for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. We're talking to growth-minded entrepreneurs, hearing their stories and wisdom learned in the heat of battle, making decisions, growing their business, sometimes struggling to survive. And with me always, my partner in crime, Mr. Robert Hartline.
Eric, I am so excited to be with you today.
I'm beyond excited because Robert turned me on to this book, Driven, by Doug Brackmann. And I got about a chapter into this thing, and I realized I'm not as messed up as I thought I was. There are other people like me, which I kind of knew through EO, but this really helped me understand that better. Doug, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited. This is what I do. It's fun.
All right.
You are my people.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah,
let's get into this.
You know, it's funny. I have to start by telling a crazy story about how I came across the book. So I'm an EOS implementer, and I have been for over a year or so. And many years ago, in 2012, I read the book Traction, and that book changed my career life trajectory, and it changed the way I scaled my business, changed the way I operated my business, and all those things. And about I guess it's been almost a year ago. I was on a live video call with Gino Wickman talking about 3 books. And one of those books was your book. And I said, I had not heard of this book, but if Gino says to read the book, I'm going to read the book. I read the book and I was like, and it got me in the very beginning because my favorite theme song on the planet is Greatest American Hero.
Oh, yeah.
That is absolutely my favorite theme. I can listen to that and I can well up in tears because I have so many fond childhood memories. But the context of the show I had forgotten until you repeated the story of this teacher that takes these kids to the desert, these misfit kids. He gets gifted this magical superhero suit and he loses the manual.
Exactly.
And he goes about trying to be this superhero without knowing how to be the freaking superhero. And that chapter really struck me. And what was crazy about reading the book, other than the fact that what you acknowledged already was that, oh my gosh, I thought I was crazy. I am a little crazy. And it's okay because there's a lot of other crazy people. So this is a condition that I have, right? And beyond that acknowledgement and reading some of the content of the book, it helped me understand who I am, what I could be, and all those kind of things. I got wrapped up in your course, and I'm doing your course. You're sending these great emails. Like the email, I would wait for an email. I'd get the email, and I would read it.
Yeah, I
would read your drip emails, which is like a lot rare. Of them I just kind of ignore. And one day I stopped getting these emails, and I was like, "Fuck! What did I not do something I was supposed to do?" And I scrolled to the bottom of the email and it had your address and it said Hendersonville. And I said, are you telling me this author of this book that I'm really into lives on the lake that I am on? I don't understand how that is even possible. That seems very synchronicity type, right? And I'm like, wow. So anyway, I reached out, and that's how we got to know each other a little bit.
Think 2 weeks later, we were bow fishing, right?
Bow fishing. It blew my mind. That thing was so fun. Maybe you could describe what bow fishing is.
It's very hillbilly. You are sitting on a boat with a whole bunch of lights, with a bow and arrow, shooting fish, shooting big carp, and you hit the first 2.
Yeah, it was exhilarating, dude. It was so fun. And I understand now why that sport resonates for you.
So for those of you who have not read Driven, it's hunter-farmer theory. So very simply, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, most people, 95% of the human population, adapted to a sedentary, boring, predictable world. and their brain and reward systems in particular adapted to the agricultural revolution. And so there's a 3%, 5%, significant percent of us, I do mean us, that are retain the original wiring of the hunter. And so we're designed to live in a scary, harder world. And if you think about the world around us, it is a farmer's world, very safe, very predictable. And if anybody's dealt with boards or anything else, people that don't understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur and the risk it takes. And we are the ones who went west in the 1810s. We are the ones who can't not do it. And so we are different. And that is chapter 1 of the book. And understanding that we're not broken, that there's nothing wrong with us, but it is a farmer's world. And so that superhero suit that we have, that real gift that we're given, unchecked, it's a curse. I mean, it is, these are the addictive genetics and the addictive personality. And most of us are lost in our addictions, whether it's heroin or whatever else, or work, or making money or the next whatever. And we potentially really blow our lives up. And so it's and we're different. The way we make decisions, the way we operate in the world, we are different. And different is chapter 1. Different is good.
The title of this podcast, The Decision, came from a talk that Robert and I had because I asked him to go on a walk with me because I was struggling with alcohol.
Yep.
And I decided that I was going to no longer drink alcohol. And I told him that my story to other people would be, I have made the decision to no longer drink alcohol because it no longer serves me,
and it is those types of decisions that you want something better,
right?
That we are wired for. And, we're scared to give up what is familiar. And that's a big part of what, sabotage is about. Even if it's, a pretty shitty situation, it's familiar, and there might, it is hard to make those decisions away from that.
Right. Well, I said to myself, I don't want to be an old drunk. I don't want to give up this opportunity that I have to be better and to have a great life and, not die of cirrhosis or something.
Exactly.
Stupid.
And it's congratulations.
Thank you.
I've got 37 years sober. So I'm a high school dropout, lived in a car. So I am very familiar with, if anybody has the opportunity to freebase cocaine, I strongly suggest that you keep it a very short experience because it will take you in a run.
Wow.
And understanding that, there are parts of me that want to destroy me, and that we thrive in chaos. We work better in chaos. And that is true. The way our brain works, the way our reward system works. And bofishin, dopamine is what our challenge is. We love that excitement. And, as I teach in the book, we need to have that scheduled. And you need to choose your addictions wisely or they'll choose you.
Right.
And that's, the curse of this thing is for real. I mean, we are different. We are wired different, but you're not broken.
I'm glad to know that now. Thank you for the book.
So, I went down this rabbit hole and I was curious about this D2, D4 genetic code. I mean, is that something if someone went and did 23andMe, would they see these genetic codes pop out? Or
you can. It used to be, and in the last 10 years, it's just completely changed. So is it nature versus nurture is what you're asking me. And the answer now with epigenetics, and the answer is yes. You can't separate, the environmental influences on your genome. So is it as simple as finding the DRD2-A1 allele gene? That's one you guys are talking about, which is the alcoholism gene. In 1991, when I started my doctoral or PhD process, that Time magazine article came out. And it was the first, oh my God, there's a genetic reason for it. Within 3 or 4 years, it was eating disorders and also gambling addiction and also professional athletes and also hyper successful people. And I'm like, what the hell? Now, if you go SNPpedia, which is the dumping ground for all genetic research, there's 143 different genomes associated with just boredom. And so the traditional DRD2, and I call that the boredom gene, it is this feeling that farmers don't have, and boredom is this feeling like, God, I'm being lazy. Most people don't feel that. they're comfortable sitting on their ass on the couch. And we, as drivens, this dopamine wakes up and it feels like there's something missing or wrong. And that feeling, is a hunter got us out of the cave and we go hunt. Let's go find something to do. For farmers, if they had that, they'd be wandering away from their crops all the time. And so it came out of the genome, at least the expression of it. And it is the thing that I see more driven entrepreneurs just blow their lives up over, because it is this, I need something to fix it. And whether that's wine, women, or song, man, I've seen lives destroyed chasing that dopamine. And boredom is a lie. Well, I need to do something. No, you don't. It's that impulsivity of it. And so it's much more complex than just one gene. And I always throw that. I keep it really simple because drivens are we love to complicate the crap out of everything.
Yep.
And so keeping it simple is the point. Point of it is that is my genetics talking. And feelings are not facts. And so I go into the book really about, how we work is we're just a bunch of animals. That's all we are. And that ability to actually understand that you're a different type of animal, that you're wired different, and the world around us is not suited for us. That's why we look so crazy. 10,000 years ago, with cave bears and saber-tooth tigers and stuff, the hypervigilance and this jack of all trades, we had to know how to, make fire and make a bow and do all of these things we do. Whereas the genome or the environment changed into butchers and bakers and candlestick makers, most people, we look nuts to them, but we're not. And the importance of the entrepreneur in this world, and really the importance of really harnessing what we are. Just in my career, I've witnessed unbelievable transformations. As you can see, once you see that there's part of you that will make very poor decisions because it's going to feel good. If you teach that to my kids, if you're using your feelings to go through this world, man, it's bad news. But if you don't use your feelings, if you don't honor your feelings, you wind up empty. So it's always that bothness. But the D4 is a little bit more interesting because I relate to it more. It's the FOMO gene, fear of missing out gene.
I got that.
So it is this, hunters feel like there's more woolly mammoths over the next hill. And, if farmers felt that, maybe we should plant crops over there, over there, over there, over there. They would have not, optimized what they are. And so this feeling that, shiny object syndrome, whatever you want to call it, is, real problem with it is, it's going to be so great when it finally happens, if only thinking. Therefore, right now kind of sucks. No. What potential in the future, how good it could be, doesn't say anything about the now. And so really understanding what we are and taking it apart and understanding how feelings are not our friends, they really aren't. It's a lie. It feels like I need to do something. And if you chase that to the end, you wind up just chasing your own tail. So we are different, though. We are different. And the first time I walked into a mastermind, I do a bunch of different mastermind stuff. 150, 200 entrepreneurs in the room, or a big EO event. It's like, I'm home, because these people get me. And the other thing about struggling through hard worlds, sheep or gazelles, herding animals, and most human beings are herding animals, or they live in big herds. And what happens when a cheetah runs into a herd of gazelles? They scatter. Screw you, and you're on your own. Good luck. And as entrepreneurs, we just desperately want, someone to have our back. And that's because we are wired much more like wolves. And what happens when a bear attacks one of the wolves in a wolf pack? All the other wolves come and got your back. Mm-hmm. And so this, entrepreneur, any of these organizations that bring drivens together where you can really develop those strong attachments is just, it is essential for our mental health. We need it. And entrepreneurship is probably one of the most alone things you can do. It is bad. And so it is that understanding that you need different types of people. You need other entrepreneurs. You need other drivens in your world to form that wolf pack.
I feel that shows up the most for me when sales are shitty, right? And I'm not crushing it. I'm not closing a deal. And it feels really isolating to not win because I attribute so much of my worth into what value I've created out of the business, right? And that's when I'm most drawn to my tribe because I'm like, surely someone else could, they know what it feels like to be, worthless because that's how I feel.
Well, and I could have, driven, title of the book. It could have been the trauma-based personality because we're designed to live in a trauma world, or it could have been the shame-based personality. And that is what gets people into my office. And I always speak to that every opportunity that I get because butchers and bakers and candlestick makers, the normal brain, 90% brain, has this structure in it built in to really help them keep their identity really simple. And you ask a driven who they are, and it's a path to hell. Like, what do you mean who? Like, I'm a bow fisherman. I'm a psychologist. I'm a father. what do you mean? In this, the way our brain works, we got a, hypofrontality. And so we see the world as one big mess. So what we tend to do, though, is the most consistent thing in our world is this feeling of not enough. And so maybe that's me. And maybe I am this feeling of not enough. And that big smile on your face.
All the time, man. All the time.
But it's not you.
Yeah.
It's just a feeling.
Yeah.
But, I always joke too, we are hardwired for narcissism. We're hardwired to build these big lives trying to hide this feeling of not enough. And that's the imposter syndrome, where the outer world actually is way better than I feel it should be. And another big smile. I got your number. It is, and there's nothing wrong with you. This is the way we're wired. And so it is a gift to the world of what you are.
Can you call my wife after we get done with this podcast?
Well,
she knows I'm.
We're doing this bow fishing, and it was an incredible experience. And then I remember asking you, and I'm curious if you have the same answer. So this is a test.
Oh yeah.
So who is Doug?
Yeah, that's a what. And so the what I do in the book to answer that is an impossible question to answer because there is no who. So I answer it very simply with a what. What I am as a Homo sapien. What I am as an animal, first and foremost. And then secondly, I'm also driven, so I'm a different type of animal. Mm. And that whatness, when I'm meditating, a long-time practitioner of meditation, hardest thing I do, because you're trying to do nothing. And what are you doing? Nothing. Therefore, I am nothing. And that ability, I'm not feeling good, not feeling bad, not feeling empty. And then, what I do or what I am is what I'm doing. What I'm doing right now is teaching. So I'm a teacher. Am I the greatest teacher in the world? No. Do I want to be a better teacher? Yes. And so I'm not, looking at the results to build some identity. I'm looking at the behavior as a way of we're wired for something, mastery. We're wired for this constant state of improvement. Not to prove that I'm not, this feeling. That's my joke. I have 2 PhDs, which is totally ridiculous. I mean, that is like stupid. It really is. It is, but it's a sign of how insecure and how unsmart I felt. And walking out of my doctoral dissertation defense, did it get that feeling fixed? No. I could hear my mind tell me really clear, they bought it, and that feeling that, I thought it would feel better. Mm-hmm. And I always joke, compared to what? Compared to worms, compared to, if 100 people in a room, they did this, they would feel good, would they? And so it takes this ability to really step out of your emotional world or your thinking world and stand in the real world. And that whatness of what I am and what I do, always wanting to be better or whatever it is, helps you, talk about decision making. It simplifies it. Because what I'm doing is trying to be a dad. Mm. Well, what is a good dad? I don't know. So what is a good dad? Always trying to be a better dad. Mm. And that ability to take the pressure off this performance and actually be in a state of curiosity where you're really, what makes a good dad is somebody who listens to their kids. Okay, I'm going to learn to listen to my kids. I'm going to learn to stand in, leadership. leadership is learning to really stand in someone's shoes and then lead them to where you want them to be. And how do I do that? Get out of my own way. Stop worrying about who I am and focus on what I'm doing.
So you get in a unique position of being in a room with someone who is on a transformational journey.
My whole life. It's amazing.
And
you see them shit the bed.
well, sometimes literally.
It's literally, it's like.
When you're in these conversations, like, is the transformation a consequence of tackling an addiction first? What do you see?
So what I do, and I all the scale pointers out there always try to get me to scale and create the institute or whatever. Very simply, what I sell is product. My product is identity, and so most of us walking around on this planet, if you're driven, really struggle with who I am. And that, if only I had $10 million in the bank and carry it liquid and have the 400 grand, I'd never have to worry. All of those narcissistic fantasies of when I finally get there, then I'll be okay. That is torture hell. And so what you are is an animal. And that simple transformation then begins where you get distance from your thinking, distance from your emotion. And to get distance from your emotion starts to bring up your trauma. And so one of the things I've done the last 15 years, 20 years, is jumped into the trauma healing world. And it is an amazing time to be a psychologist, to watch, what is really controlling you. And as you said this, and I pointed here, and I give the Buddhist example of identity, as the Buddha observed that human beings are very much like Indian elephants with a whole bunch of monkeys up on top trying to control it. And you haven't read this yet, so I'll do it on you. And so this was my doctoral dissertation. So why does it suck so bad in January at the gym? It's because everybody's monkey mind has temporary control over the elephant. And you got a gorilla up there beating the shit out of you, go to the gym, and you got cheerleaders, oh, come on, do it. And what happens by February 14th in particular, I just did this slide, 78% of people do not remember their New Year's resolutions. You completely go back to sleep.
Right.
So where is Eric? Where are you? Are you the monkeys or are you the elephant?
Oh, I guess I'm the elephant at that point. Right. It's back to the old thing.
So it's a trick question. And obviously you're both to some degree.
Yeah.
And everybody watch his face. Neither. There. And that neither is, and so 40,000 years, people trying to figure out mind, body, and soul. And this third thing, there's the look, like, oh shit. That's the transformation beginning of the new identity, in that you are this third thing, observing. Freud called it the observing ego, and Carl Jung called it the conscious or collective unconscious, semi-conscious, to where you can step out of the monkey mind and see the elephant, or see the monkeys throwing crap at each other and fighting and arguing, and also feel that impulsive elephant wanting this, and devil and angel on the monkey mind trying to talk you into it, out of it. But the third thing can meet the whole thing with curiosity. And then it's like, because our body, the elephant is wired for fear. Mm-hmm. And, I'm scared not to do it, and you have an impulse towards, or I'm scared of doing it. And so everything in this world is either a snake or a stick. And the capacity to actually come back and, ooh, it's a snake. And then, is it? And actually engage it in a way where you're building emotional intelligence, to where you're not believing your emotion at first. Oh, it's just, I will work with to talk about sabotage. Great ideas. And there's going to be there's no snakes in this one at all. This is fantastic. Really? Really? Oh, it's going to be easy to start a company. Really? And so it goes both ways. If you're feeling really good about something or feeling really scared about something, you're not in reality. And, the truth is, this present moment, one of my favorite names for God is presence, is completely safe. Right now, we are safe. Yeah, but I feel about something in the future. So feelings and being able to step out of your normal monkey and elephant dance and stand in your soul or stand in this observer and watch the battle, knowing that there really is no battle right now.
So you're telling me I have to be patient occasionally?
Patience. Patience means you're waiting for something. It's easier if you're not waiting for something and you're curious about what's happening.
Okay.
I learned 14-year-old daughter, brother. I have learned, like, what is she going to say next? Because if I'm trying to get her to do something and I'm waiting for it, patience sucks.
Yeah.
But if I'm actually able to slow down that and engage and let the moments unfold, it's amazing how much patience I can have. Seems from the outside. On the inside, I'm just watching. And so it's an illusion. Patience is, you're stuck in the results.
And how is that, because I wonder if as a driven, I am a different father than the farmer character of dad, and is that good or bad? Or, I'm questioning because I realize that compared to, I have my own challenges that my kids get to see. They've seen me try different things. They've seen me fail at different things. They've seen me, have probably high anxiety, right? They've seen me. They haven't really seen me struggle with addictions because I tackled them early enough. But I'm wondering what's different between a driven dad and just a normal everyday dad. Are they different dads?
Yes. And driven dads, in my opinion, are a hell of a lot more fun. I'm a big kid, and being able to play with your kids and really let go, in my experience in teaching a whole bunch of entrepreneurs, drivens how to be dads again. And I don't know what a good dad is. And it's like, should I use the Leave It to Beaver normal model of coming home at 6 and talk to your kids for an hour and then never did? And that predictable routine is not us. And I always joke, I don't know if I say it in there, but whoever invented the game Sorry when you're playing with a 4-year-old is an asshole. That guy, seriously, it's like, it is a horrible experience. And so, as a driven, because it is like, oh, come on. And so let's go outside instead. Right. Let's go do something that is, we can share. And I just finished another book on raising teenage daughters. The most important thing you can be with your kids is authentic. And authentic doesn't mean you're trying to do something. It means you're being with them. And, it's like spontaneity. You can't be spontaneous. You are spontaneous. And so being a good dad in that sense of just meeting them where they're at. Yeah. And it's easy to say when they're a lot like you, when they're not like you, and they're girls, and it seems like it should be more challenging, but it's a lot easier because I have no clue what it's like to be a 14-year-old girl. Right. And so that makes me a good dad because I want to be with them. I want to be in their world. And, not focusing on the outcomes, but it's still, it's greatest and hardest challenge I've ever had.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that comes up in forum a lot is fatherhood. And I think I probably instigated a bit because I'm trying to figure out how to navigate having a teenager in the house now because that's a different person than the other kid liked me and hung out with me. And this new guy is like, he has moved on. He has moved on.
It is. I got a 14 and 16-year-old girl, and they do not want to be with dad. This underlying feeling, and completely. It's healthy. It's called individuation. So they're supposed to be little people in the world without you, independent of you. Yeah. But I'm hearing it through it is this feeling I'm not doing enough, or that driven underlying feeling that you're not enough to your kids. Watch that. And because they feel that. And I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs that are scared that they're not doing enough for their kids. And it gets in the way of them being with their kids because they're always trying to do more with their kids. And it's like, no, do what you're doing and watch how your kids respond.
Somehow I was able to navigate that. I just knew that because I thought back about what I was like at that age.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be with my dad. And so I just was patient and I waited and just kept doing the same thing that I was always doing. Didn't push. If she stood me up, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And now she's 27 and she's the one reaching out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And they come back.
Oh, yeah.
That is what I'm, my lips to God's ears. That my daughters will come back. And, they need that safe place to come home to. But because you are safe enough, they can leave home.
Yeah.
And so it's a interesting compliment, that truly is.
Now, Doug, you've been in a lot of rooms of really powerful people.
I have.
That have been very successful, highly driven, and you've been in rooms when they're in masterminds. They're going deep. They're getting vulnerable, and you've been there with seemingly perfect.
I've cried with some of the richest men in the world.
Yeah, and so what's the good container or setup to create a place where you get authentic, deep conversations so that it allows for you to share such a deep, meaningful thing that I get and allow myself to see myself in what you say.
You just said it. So it is, and going back to the kid thing, the most important thing, what kids are craving is being seen. What does it mean to be seen? Is listened to. And actually curiously not assuming I understand who and what you are. Like, what am I missing here? And that leaning in and curiosity doesn't contain judgment. And so, you want to create a vulnerable forum, curiosity without judgment. Easy to say. And being able to acknowledge the judgment that's always in the room is what I do. And it's like, because they're scared of their own judgment more than they're scared of of me judging you. And so that capacity to own my own judgment, this is really hard for me to actually be vulnerable. And that's my judgment on myself. And so if I lead with that and actually express that, I'm struggling with even talking about this, guys, and it's okay. You see them actually soften to my judgment, and it drops their judgment. It takes their judgment away because they're worried about me rather than worried about themselves. And so it's a psychology puppet trick, but it works. I mean, it really works. It works with the kids too. Telling my daughters, this is hard for me to talk about sex, but I'm gonna. And they're like, Dad, you don't have to. And it's like, because then the focus is off them.
Right.
And so it's a trick, but then metered vulnerability is a degree, and vulnere means literally to wound. And so woundable, I'm going to share something with you that you could wound me later with. And so it's that I'm going to share a little bit with you and then test the waters, meaning that, are you going to hold this in confidence? Are you going to judge me in it? Are you going to joke about it? Are you going to hurt me back with it? And if the answer is no, then you can go a little bit deeper. And that little bit deeper, and as drivens, we crave that deep, intimate, and as drivens, we are very soul aware. And so that soul-to-soul connection, observer-to-observer connection, that's, oh, God, I've known you forever. That's that feeling of, feeling that sense of knowingness. And that is what, why I crave going into groups of drivens in those forums, where it's different. It's different than what you see in most of the world.
Do you think the experience of a room full of people that trust each other, one of the core values of EO is trust and respect.
Yep.
And when I'm in a room of people that I trust, I'm able to unlock what you said, that metered vulnerability, to go that next level. Because there's something that I could share with a stranger on a bus, but I can't share with some close people
it's
sometimes.
drivens,
like,
and groups of drivens, and I've done thousands of hours of it. It is this: you're going to find out that I really am broken, and that deep, ability to know that my brokenness is actually where we connect the deepest. And so I don't want you to see my brokenness is the biggest lie the monkey mind can tell the elephant, because my craving is that you see my brokenness and don't abandon me. And that is, what we're all craving, is it particularly drivens. But it has to be on that observer level. And then I can feel my elephant not wanting to go here, but I'm going to let my elephant go here. And it's metered in trust and respect. Trust is a decision. And you get left hemisphere people and the analysis paralysis people, and they are constantly trying to figure out, is it safe for me to make this decision to trust you? And then you have the impulsives of, F it, I'm going to say it anyway. And that ability to see it's always a guess. But I'm going to risk just a little bit. I'm going to risk that with you. I'm going to make the decision to risk this much, see what you do with it, and then go a little bit more. And respect literally means to do the harder thing. And to do the harder thing. And the harder thing is to keep your mouth shut, to not judge, to not make the stupid comment. And that, I respect you because I see you. PhDs, Navy SEALs, we do a lot of shit we didn't want to do. And I respect that. Why? Because it's hard. And, I trust, I can predict that you're going to do the harder thing. That is, a core. And you see somebody doing the easier thing where they get uncomfortable and they run, or they start to get uncomfortable and make stupid jokes about you that get the attention off them. I don't respect that. And so, calling people out on their behaviors that you don't respect is what creates that safer and safer container.
And what I have from my own personal struggles with different bullshit that I've created and getting vulnerable with a group, I've been able to suss out the why when I hear the vulnerable stories. It for whatever reason, it like brings the core to what the troubling thing has been.
Yep.
That never appeared anywhere else than my own conscious brain that I could analyze around. It was like I heard another story that I go, oh, and I somehow connected my story to that story. It
is the soul level. I can see your bullshit so much more clearly than I can see my own. But in seeing yours, I'm able then to actually self-reflect or look in and see how I can learn from others. And that, you can bypass a lot of trauma in your world by learning from other people's trauma and what they did.
Yeah.
But you got to be listening to it and feeling it in the body, and things that, ping your radar and you feel that, you become curious about what they don't see.
Yeah. So let's talk directly in the book about some tools that you recommend for the driven to help them with, we have a wide variety of challenges that we have, and we're just let's just maybe focus on, let's say, this analytical mind that is running and running and running and running and running and running. And
so meditation. If you're not meditating, and everybody, Tools of Titans and Tim Ferriss, 80%, 90% of that book talks about meditation practices and what these, hard-hitting people are doing to meditate. What I talk about in Driven is 90% of the world are farmers, and 90% of the meditation out there is created for farmers by farmers. And it makes us batshit crazy. It is like, this makes me feel worse. You tell a driven to close his eyes and imagine a field, and all of a sudden we got naked chicks and pizza. I mean, it is like serious. And it's the way our brains are structured. And so our brains, we have underactive frontal lobe, but we have overactive occipital lobes. And so we literally are using our eyesight as hunters to track multiple targets. And so I teach eye-open meditation. And, meditation very simply is reality checking. Is what I'm feeling right now an accurate reflection of the present moment? And so does my insides actually match reality? Most of the time, the monkey mind is dragging around this elephant into hell and fighting, dragons that aren't here right now. And so meditation is not about relaxing. A byproduct of actually reality checking, knowing the present moment's safe, you will start to experience relaxation. But you'll relax to the point where you drop your guard, where it becomes uncomfortable, and then you start to think about things that scare the elephant. And so that ability to see what you're really doing is gaining soul strength. That ability to step out of your thinking, and the metaphor I always use is that your ass is sitting in a train station. And right now, the train station is peaceful and calm, not a lot of activity, and a train or a thought will come into the station, and all of a sudden you're back in that field, chasing naked chicks and eating pizza. That ability to get off that train, come back to the present, is meditation. Meditation's not about relaxing. It's about the practice of getting off trains. And a good meditation, therefore, is 1,000 trains. God, I sat there and thought the whole time, and you got off every one. That is phenomenal practice. And so at beginning meditation, eyes open, and I would start everybody at 2 minutes, because the monkey mind loves to sabotage. And, I don't have time to meditate. 2 minutes. And you feel the elephant and that impulsive and hear the chattering monkeys. You're in your soul. You're in this third thing. Gaining strength to call bullshit on yourself. And, I start everybody with a drinking coffee meditation, where have coffee every morning. You're going to set a timer for 2 minutes and just drink coffee. Train's going to come into the station, and all of a sudden you're thinking about work and thinking about this, and get off and come back to the smell of the coffee, come back to the warmth of the cup, whatever is anchoring, and you'll eventually take that breath where you, okay. But all day long, then you have that ability to step out of the monkey mind, this hyper thinking that we do, and come back to reality.
That analogy completely changed my perception of meditation, because Robert and I were talking about this at lunch. My problem with meditation was always that I'm getting on the train, and that's what I've concentrated on, and not the celebration that, hey, I got off the train. Let's go back to the coffee.
But that is meditation, is getting off the train. And the more trains there are, the more opportunity you have to be in meditation and practicing. And, discernment is a big part of the benefit from it. Discernment meaning there's my thinking and there's the elephant. And one of the things that started this whole thing for me was I was working with Randy Kelly, guy who helped me write this book. He really helped me come up with, I teach meditation at gunpoint. And that's my tagline. You haven't gotten there yet. So I've been a long time competitive shooter, 600 and 1,000-yard shooting matches. And it is very difficult. Yeah. It's a lot of stillness and a lot of focus. Mm-hmm. And I said, man, that's meditation. And Randy's like, yeah. And so I've been into Zen and this practice of Kudo, which is Zen archery. And so you're shooting these big giant bows in a completely dark room at little tiny targets, and it's all about focus. But it's the process of actually shooting and that you come back to is the meditation. So, how do you hit a target at 300 yards? Well, you put one hand here and then one hand here, and then you put the gun. And so there's a breakdown of process. Same way you do it at 1,000. Yeah, but it seems different. Is that your monkey or your elephant? And that's my elephant. So you become present, you stabilize, you breathe. And the real takeaway from it is there is no recoil in the present. And so you got, I got some big guns. Yeah, I got a Chi-Tech, 375 Chi-Tech. Literally, it's a ridiculous elephant cannon. It hits targets at 2 miles. It's a 2-mile gun. But the anticipation of recoil, that's my elephant scared of something that isn't happening now. And one of the gifts of being driven is this thing called hyperfocus. It's called neuropeptide Y, where the world seems to go all into one. And when we are like that, and it's designed for hunters, when you're about to stick a woolly mammoth with a spear, you better be focused. And so it's a natural gift to us, and it's an incredible ability to be present. And so you're anticipating recoil, and you focus more, and it feels like you're dropping in. Any medicine heads out there? And it's, mind, you have mind, body, and soul. And those three, the split between them, fall into one. And that is called flow. And it is a flow state where you really tap into the gift of being driven. It is this, God, in this state, I can do anything. And it's true.
I've experienced those terrifying moments on the highway before. And I just, for whatever reason, I get completely calm.
Present. Yeah.
And I go back and I've got a dash cam. And I go back and look at it and go, I don't know how in the hell I survived that.
I worked with PGA guys forever. And I quit working with them because they're crazy. But it's putting, that true sense of being able to hyper focus, and Jordan Spieth's $7 million or $10 million 7-foot putt, no different than any other putt he's ever done. Right. But you hit a target, at 1,000 yards, and we get 3 shots, you hit it twice in a row. That third shot's a bitch.
Right.
Because you're absorbed in the results. And you want to hit the target, obviously, but it's the process that matters. And if you relax into the process and use that hyper focus to really just one step at a time, your ego's not in the way.
And that result is such a fleeting thing. Like you said, the recoil is always in the past, right? And we're anticipating that. We're so involved in what's that going to feel like and when is it going to happen when I pull the trigger that it messes with your mind. You can't concentrate on what you're doing.
And all of and once I can get guys behind a gun and they get this insight, it changes their entire acumen towards business. Because results matter, but it's not me. I need the results to look at how it affected by the process. And how do I improve the process to get better KPIs, get better results? Mm-hmm. And so we're not embarrassed by the results anymore. We want to see our failures. And that's, I say that over and over on the shooting. You learn from your misses way more than your hits.
Right. Well, I saw that when we did the bow fishing, because when you flip the lights on and that carp's got his eyeball sticking right at you, and you're like, you got to pull and you can't think about not hitting it. It's like you literally have to take action.
Yeah.
And there is no thought. It literally was like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And it is that it's the elephant and the monkeys and the soul all work as one in one continuous flowing decision. I mean, it's flow. It's a magical state.
Is that straight from the heart, that instinct? Is that from heart?
It is a combination of the brain looking at 8,000 factors, movement of the boat, the carp is there, and then these 35-pound carp are hauling ass, and you got to lead them. It is this thing working with this thing, and the observer drops completely into both. You become completely embodied in the present moment.
Yeah.
And that is driven. Yeah.
It was like so exhilarating.
It is.
You just know, right? You just know.
It's going around a motorcycle track at 140 miles an hour, and you're there too.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be downhill skiing and almost killing yourself to get there. You can drop in, and I teach guys, you can drop in doing an email. Mm-hmm. Where this email is really important, and let me just take the whole thing in, and you get an egg timer so it's limited time and the pressure's there, and I need to focus on just this. And where does it come from that the mystical kind of perfect email all of a sudden appears before you, and it's like, yeah, that was a combination of my heart leading my brain.
And sometimes we go into those emails not even thinking of the sheer possibility that could exist if you were in flow when you created it.
Exactly.
And if you could create the right set of words from the right place, your heart, right, in the right manner because you had some real flow out of it, it could be a magical email, but sometimes we just kind of.
Well, you get it, and that's, the gift of being driven. The greatest problem you have, and really the only problem you have, is yourself. And once you get there, the only problem I really have is I am in my own way. How do I get out of my own way? And that's these, meditation, being able to discern monkey and elephant, use the monkey mind the way it's supposed to, which is a complex problem solver, but I'm not solving problems of feeling different. Feelings are not problems to solve. What is the problem here? Well, I want to be genuine. I want to be authentic. I want to be this way in this email. And what does this person really need to hear from me and experience in me? I drop into that experience, and it seems like magic flowing out of me. And, is it the Holy Spirit actually working through me to collective unconscious? I don't know. No one knows.
Something that I struggle with, and I think everyone like us struggles with, and that is the desire to solve problems. And I cannot get away from that. And it is like this horrible thing. Like, why can't I just sit with someone and they're telling me the troubles and me not just go, oh, that's interesting. I would like to be that person, but I am over here going.
So it is all the men out there, if feelings aren't problems to solve, and your wife is barfing her feelings all over you, it is magic when you finally figure out there's no problems here to solve. But what is the real problem here? And you become incredibly curious, and like, I'm listening to this diatribe of why she's scared about PTA meetings, and it's where's the real problem? And there's no real problem here. But I listened to my wife for 10 minutes, diatribing about this. She felt heard and listened to. Now she wants to have sex with me. And you're like, what the hell just happened? Because it is an ability to see that if I'm in problem solving or I'm doing something rather than being.
Yeah.
And that curiosity goes back to that what is the problem? And so it's powerful.
Doug, thanks for joining us today. Eric, this has been a great episode. I hope all of you out there, driven entrepreneurs, take a moment.
There's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken.
Yeah, we are broken. We just acknowledge it. The driven. Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome.
Check it out. You can also find Doug at IamDriven.com.
All things me is IamDriven.com, and there's an assessment on there. And because of my imposter syndrome and wanting to make sure driven is real, I spent a bunch of money, a bunch of time and effort. It's not a lead gen assessment. It's a genuine assessment that I nationally normed, and wanted to make sure driven was real before I got too big into this. It's real. The assessment is real, and I appreciate it because I'm writing a book about it. So not all drivens are created equal.
Well, I have to put the word out. Definitely read the book, even if you just listen to the book. But if you don't want to do any of those things, go check out IamDriven.com. Sign up for his email list. He's got a great email drip that will give you a lot of the context around the book. And if you are a driven entrepreneur here in Nashville, Tennessee, and you want to join 345 other souls here that are also driven and maybe a little bit crazy along with you, come visit eonashville.com. Sign up for one of our events. Come see who we are and see if we are a fit for your world while you grow your person, you as a person and your business on this journey of life. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic rest of your week.
Thanks for listening to the Decision Podcast by Nashville EO. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.